Hi, this is Donna Harcourt. Welcome to my studio. This is going to be the class. It's Wildflowers and Vines 03. You're going to be painting some wildflowers and some vines and some ribbons. So to get us started, I wanted to tell you what supplies you're going to need. I'm going to paint the project on watercolor paper, so you'll need a piece of that. You also need a piece of scrap paper, something like just plain white paper, and that's for us to practice on. When I teach my elements. I will teach you one element at a time, such as the vines, and then we'll put the vines onto our project. So you learn one part and then you apply it. I find that is the better way of teaching, in my personal opinion, because when we're all done, you have your project all completed and you've learned all the elements of the project. Also, today we're going to be using the one-stroke artist brushes. We're going to be starting out with a number 12, and number 12 flat. And then I also have a number 1 liner brush. And then I also going to show you, and if you don't have this brush, that's okay, because you can use the number 12. It's an 8 round. This makes a really great daisy, and it's really easy to work for, and I find out it's really much easier to make those daisies with. Also, as far as paints today, I'm using plaid folk art paints, but if you have other paints such as Deco Art or Americana, feel free to use those as well. Use something similar. We're going to use Wicker White, Yellow Light, Violet Pansy, Berry Wine, Cobalt Blue, Fresh Foliage, Thicket, and we may use some floating medium. This helps make our brushes and bristles go on smoother on watercolor paper. Also, you're going to need some sort of a water basin, and you may either use a paper plate or paper palette paper, whichever you want. Okay, so first thing I want you to do is go ahead and you're going to load some of this Fresh Foliage and Thicket, that's the 2 greens, onto your paper plate like this. And I already have the Fresh Foliage right here, and I have the Thicket right here. And you also will need a paper towel. Now, I like to use Viva paper towels, and the reason I use Viva is that they are softer and they're more like a cloth. If you use the paper towels that you get that are just like this and they're kind of rough, what happens to these when you use this, when you dry your brush off on them, it really has a lot of wood fibers in it, and it makes the ends of your bristles get curl up. It kind of wears them off and curls them up. So if you have Viva towels, those are the best ones to use. But if you don't, you can use the other ones till you can get these. Okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to wet down our number 12 brush. Then I lay my number 12 brush in, and I hope you can see this. You can see how it's shiny where the water's in it. And I lay it down on the Viva paper towels, and just as you see the shine leaves, let me show you that again. Watch for the shine to leave. When you see the shine leave, then you know you have the correct moisture in your brush. Okay? So I'm going to lay that down. Now we're going to load this brush. We're going to load, I call it a jab. We're going to jab it into the dark green. You get this little triangle. I turn my brush over and I jab into the Fresh Foliage. Now I like to keep these 2 greens really close together all the time. So I'm going to stand up on the chisel edge. That means it's straight up and down, pushing flat, and I'm going 1, 2, 3. Keeping in mind I'm not going any farther than that. If you go all the way across your plate, you lose the paint out of your paintbrush, so you've defeated what you've done. Now I'm going to reload it again with the dark and the light. I'm going to stand on the chisel, and we're going to be pushing down pretty hard the first couple times. Third time I'm pushing in again and again. This time I'm not going to push down quite as hard, and I'm going to load that up. And I will probably do this 3, maybe 4 times till I get a nice loaded brush. You can see how the brush is about 3/4 way up the bristles. Okay? Alright, what we're going to do first is we're going to practice on our scrap paper. So have that in front of you. And as a typical rule, the light color leads. So I'm going to stand, this is our chisel edge right here. I'm going to hold my brush way back. It says plaid 1 stroke. About where it says 1 stroke, that's where I'm going to put my thumb. I'm going to hold my brush straight up and down, and I like to lean back just a little bit. And right now we're just going to practice and putting a little vine in. So I'm touching and just pulling. Now watch, if you push down hard, you get a wider line. If you stand up straight and tall, you get a nice narrow line, just like that. Okay? Alright, again, I'm going right back here to my brush, right where I had loaded, keep a nice little racing stripe. I'm going back and getting that chisel edge. I'm loading up with more paint. I'm blending on my palette, picking up more paint, and then I'm just going to wipe the tip of it off, get the excess off. Okay? Now when we're wanting to add, and you probably saw this in my free video, add some more vines. I'm going to start right back here again, and I'm just going to go over, and I'm kind of turning my thumb back and forwards, getting some of that in. And if I want to, I want to put some little vines off of it. I can just start back here and start up and pull it off. If you pull off on a corner or a curve, you get a much more natural looking vine. Okay, I'm going back here. I'm getting my chisel edge again. I'm loading again, filling it up, blend it on the plate, pick up a little bit of the light, a little bit of the dark. Okay? Now what I want you to practice is, you're going to think about this being in a heart shape. You feel free to use your pattern if you want to on your practice as well. Standing straight up on the chisel edge with the light color leading, I'm standing up and I'm pulling and I'm going to make a heart. This is just my practice paper, so my vine that went across is fine. It's just right in the middle. We're just using this as practice. I'm going to cross my vines at the bottom. Don't know if you can see that. I'll pull that out. Okay. Alright, going back, getting my chisel edge again, picking up the fresh foliage and the thicket, blending on my palette, coming back, picking it up again, and just wipe a little bit of the excess off. You do that by just laying your brush down a little bit and just touching. Don't go across because you won't want to pull all your paint off. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing again. Light color leading. I'm going to pull down this way this time, and I'm going up and down, back and forwards. Not really pushing too hard, just really light, kind of like a feather going over. Back again, picking up more paint. Remember, you can stop this video at any time, do what you need to do, practice as long as you need to practice, and then come back and work on it again. Starting right here again, going across, just going back and forwards, just like we did on a straight line a while ago. Okay? Alright, now I might do this 2, maybe 3 times. Going back, getting the chisel edge, picking up your fresh foliage, picking up your green, wiping off the excess. Okay, this time I'm going to add some little wispies off of it. Remember what I said about taking your wispies off on a curve. So I'm going to start back here again, and my little wispies are just going to go off right there. I'll start right back here again, and I'm going to bring that one down and around. Going back here, starting again and bringing it over. I can make 2, maybe 3. If you lean back on your bristle brush, you're just going to use this little pieces of your bristles to pull those wispies. You'll have a much finer line. Okay? So go ahead and practice that. Just light color leading again and around, pulling those little wispies off. Okay. Now each one of the videos is 10 minutes long, so I'm going to shut this one off now and we'll come back and be ready to put on our project.